welcome back to SA Sports Show. I'm here with Nick Barlett from SA Kendo.
That's right.
Wow, what a sport. I've been watching it over the last week or so. It is a brilliant sport. You're a master of it. Tell us a bit about it.
I have to stop you there. To be called a master is very complimentary. Although I'm a teacher of Kendo, the best I could hope to be called would be a teacher.
Is that right? Okay.
I'm a 5th degree black belt in the art, but there are plenty of people above me who probably warrant the title of master if they would.
So I was going to say, master to be polite to you because you got one of your sticks in front of us both.
No, that's right.
Whacked on the back of the head with it.
You're quite safe. It's out of reach, and I'm no good without it.
But I know you're an instructor, but also we go back to you as the sportsman, represent Australia at the World Championships in Brazil.
Yes.
What a dream that must have been for you.
Yeah, it was a bit of a lifelong goal. I had a background in sport, in a variety of more conventional sports and swimming and water polo and a bit of cricket and whatnot when I was younger. And it was always a dream of mine to represent Australia in something. And then after having started Kendo, found the thing that I wanted to do. And then in 2009, I was lucky enough to be selected and head away to Brazil to compete there. So it was a dream. And
you went well? Like, how did it all go? You must be so nervous because you're going against countries that these particular athletes are professional.
Correct, yeah. So when you're talking about Kendo, I guess the two countries of the world that dominate Kendo are Japan, which
naturally,
where Kendo is from, and Korea, who has a rich history also of swordplay. At the Worlds, they tend to dominate the competition.
Yeah, I can imagine,
essentially being professional players of the sport, of the art. And the rest of us, plebs in Australia and other countries where Kendo is most certainly a minor sport, we're competing against the best. So we tried, but.
But looking at your performance, though, you went there and then you met Korea, and that's where it got a bit tough.
Yeah. So in both there's an individual competition and also a team competition at the Worlds. And in both of those competitions, Australia as a team and then myself individually were able to get out of the pools initially, but we met. I did, and then the team met Korea on both occasions, and we got knocked out after that. Unfortunately.
Yeah, I know that. So tell me, you're an instructor at the Adelaide.
Yep. So the name of the club is Adelaide Kendo.
Okay.
I teach at, which is.
So I was never going to pronounce that.
No, that's all right.
I think I set that up as best I could.
Yeah, so Adelaide Kendo is one of the local Kendo clubs. There's 4 in Adelaide, 4 clubs. Adelaide Kendo is the only club that has both juniors and seniors, meaning children, doing Kendo as well. We've been running for about 5 years.
Oh, is that right? Yeah. Now, tell us a bit about it, because we're talking about stick fighting
essentially
initially, and you're looking at something that probably looks a bit like a samurai sword.
Yes, correct.
And I've got a feeling that's maybe where it evolved from.
Yes, you're correct. So this essentially is a stick, is a bamboo sword called a shinai.
Right.
Which literally means bamboo sword in Japanese. Long story short, Kendo in its original forms had a set of painted armour, and then with the use of shinai rather than katana, which is the Japanese sword, evolved initially as a method of training samurai to use the sword.
It'd be hard to do the training with a samurai sword, really, going back and all that.
No, you couldn't. No, you'd have a very short career as a swordsman and training with it. Yeah, that's right. Essentially developed as a safe way to practice those movements and those techniques. But it's evolved over time to become what it is in the modern day, which is a bit of a hybrid of a martial art and of a sport. Where we strike each other rather than cutting each other.
The speed, though, it's just an incredible as athletes. And look at some of the overlay as well here. I mean, it looks like a helicopter blade. I mean, the speed that this stick has been, I suppose, whipped around.
Yeah,
swung.
It is certainly quick.
Wow.
And to someone who has never done Kendo, it's a little bit hard to get into. Maybe a little bit similar to that of European fencing. So if you're an enthusiast in fencing, you might be able to see where points are being scored or whatnot. And similar for Kendo, unless you're sort of into it, you have some experience with it, it's kind of hard to see with the speed, and then I guess with the adjudication and the way it's scored can be a little bit difficult to understand. But essentially, Kendo rewards you with points.
Yep.
It's the best of 3 points in a match.
Yep.
So if you score 2 points before the time is complete, then you win, or if you're up by 1 point when the time runs out, you also win the match. But essentially, you're looking for a convincing strike that uses this distal part of the sword and strikes the correct part of the armour of the opponent. Then you've got some hope of scoring a point.
Yeah, and when you hear "ouch," you know you got him.
Yes, there's a bit of that. Certainly, there's a lot of missing, and you do. The two things that people commonly say is the drawbacks of Kendo is that it hurts a bit and that it smells bad. So,
is that right?
Kendo, which is not the best advertisement for today.
But you took yourself as a professional, as an athlete, but as well as an instructor, you went to Japan.
Yes.
You spent half a dozen years there, even refining up your techniques.
Yes, I was in Japan from 2006 to 2016.
Yep.
And one of the biggest reasons I went to live and work there was Kendo to progress the training, and I was really lucky. I was really well received.
And was it a big stepping stone for you as an athlete to say, well, this has taught me this now.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. I think when sports people or martial artists find, they might experiment doing a lot of different sports and martial arts. When I found Kendo, I knew that was the thing that I wanted to do. I was going to do it long term. I did it for several years here, and then went to Japan, and which is the mecca, I guess, of Kendo. It was a big step up, not only in terms of my own learning, learning from people who are vastly more senior and more experienced than myself. I spent the first 5 or 6 years that I was, of the 10 that I was there, getting beaten up and learning.
That's good fun.
But it was, I think the other part of it was also the responsibility that brought. When you further yourself along in Kendo, you might go from being a person that's learning, being instructed, being trained, but as you get more senior, you then have to look after your juniors as well. So as you progress, you're also not just progressing as an athlete, but there is a mandate of becoming a teacher as well. So whatever you receive, you're also passing down to people who are less experienced. I
could just imagine in Japan and some of the classes, no talking, very structured, very, very disciplined. You're there to improve. You're there to give 110% to the instructor.
Yes.
Is it very much that way?
Yeah, so the environments vary a little bit. So one example I would give would be training centres that are devoted to adults versus ones that have adults and kids together. Yeah. The ones that have kids present are a little bit softer, I guess, in the way that they train and everyone's in together. Yeah. But I guess the tougher ones, I'll give an example of in Japan, I was lucky enough to be invited to train with the police.
Oh, okay, yep.
And police do one of the Japanese martial arts as part of their job in Japan generally.
So they can actually do Kendo as part of their job.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And then if you're within the police, there's the riot squad, and the riot squad, quite a big proportion of their daily duties is to do Kendo or Judo or something like that. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to train with the Kendo team as part of the riot squad.
Wow.
And that training is pretty severe. They're not kind to each other or to guests.
Is that right? So when you actually see sort of riots in Japan and these the policemen got sticks, just go running. Don't go near them.
Don't go near them. No, not a lot of riots in Japan. I think now I understand.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And so what's a good age to start training? I mean, like you've reached the pinnacle. You went to the World Championships.
Yes.
And what age do you really feel that it's a right age to do a martial arts?
Sure. I think it depends on the person, on a bit of maturity and what you're chasing. Children can start Kendo as young as 5. Yeah. But in starting so early, you spend a lot of years where you learn the techniques, but nobody strikes you. Yeah. I would hazard a guess that, like myself, if late adolescence, 15, 16, 17, looking maybe, if someone's tried conventional sports and they haven't found
just that right one. Yeah.
That maybe like me, that could be a good time to give it a try.
Because for the viewers, we've put across the website. So like if you're watching and you'd like to be involved, or you think it's perfect for your child.
Yes.
I know we've seen lots of overlay of some of the real competitive riding. It is just a wonderful sport to watch. It's probably one of my favourite segments that I've actually prepared for. Because when I've watched it, I've really enjoyed it. I thought, wow, this is something really special. So please call Adelaide Kendo.
Yes. So and you could look us up on Google. If you looked up just SA Kendo, you would find links to all the appropriate things in South Australia, and you would find a club that would be able to compete.
I want to say one thing. Australia are improving, because I did notice that the last World Championships, the women's team got third.
Yes, that's
now
correct.
That is unbelievable.
It's an incredible feat. 2018 in the last World Championships pre-COVID that was held in Korea. In the Dantai, which is the team's competition, Australian women came third in the world.
Fantastic! What a great sport! Incredible. What a great Australian. Represented Australia. It's absolutely a real credit. Nick, thanks so much for coming in.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We're back after the break.